The sky turned black at noon. Jack Harlow looked up from his coffee as darkness swept across the military base. His cup fell, shattering on the concrete floor. "What the hell is that?" he whispered. The massive ship locked the sun like an eclipse. It wasn't alone. Across the world, identical vessels appeared over major cities. The base erupted into chaos as alarms blared. Colonel Wright burst into the room. "Harlow, command center now." Jack ran through corridors filled with panicked soldiers. 15 years in Special Forces hadn't prepared him for this. The command center buzzed with frantic activity as screens showed the ships hovering over New York, London, Beijing, Moscow. "They're broadcasting on all frequencies," said a communications officer. The main screen flickered. 2 alien beings appeared. One resembled a giant insect with compound eyes and clicking mandibles. The other glowed with inner light, its crystalline body shifting colors as it moved. "People of Earth," the insect-like creature spoke in perfect English. "I am Ambassador Krizax of the Vexari. With me is Delegate Shimmer of the Luminari. We represent the Galactic Council." Jack felt his mouth go dry. "Your planet is now under Council protection," continued Krizax. "Your species will be classified as a protectorate until deemed worthy of limited membership. Resistance is inadvisable." President Garcia appeared on a split screen, attempting diplomacy. "We welcome peaceful contact, but Earth is a sovereign." "Your understanding is irrelevant," interrupted Shimmer, voice like breaking glass. "The Council has spoken." The President tried again. "We must discuss terms that respect our, perhaps a demonstration is required," said Krizax. The screen switched to a view of Sydney, Australia. A beam of light shot from the ship above. The city glowed for 3 seconds, then vanished in blinding light. When the light faded, only a smoking crater remained. Jack grabbed the nearest desk to steady himself. "My brother," he whispered. "Tim was in Sydney. Millions dead in seconds." The room fell silent. "Earth will surrender within 6 hours, or we will select another city," said Shimmer before the transmission cut. Jack's phone buzzed. A text from Tim sent minutes before. "Weird ship in sky. Sending pics." Then nothing. 6 hours later, Earth surrendered. 3 months passed. Jack sat in an underground bunker with 5 other officers. They'd been meeting secretly since the occupation began. "The Vexari have set up processing centers in every major city," said Captain Rivera, sliding photos across the table. "They're taking people. No one returns. The Luminari are different," added Lieutenant Chun. "They seem uncomfortable with Vexari methods, but they follow orders." Jack studied the alien technology schematics they'd gathered. "There's something about their shield systems. The energy signature pulses at regular intervals." "So what?" asked Major Wilson. "So maybe there's a window of vulnerability," Jack said. "I've been working on something." He opened a case containing a modified rifle. "Electromagnetic pulse, tuned to what I think is their operating frequency." "You think?" "We need certainty, Harlow. We need hope," Jack snapped. "My brother is dead. Millions are dead. I'm not waiting for permission to fight back." That night, Jack took his weapon to the perimeter fence. A Vexari scout ship patrolled overhead. He raised the rifle, tracking the ship through his scope. "For Tim," he whispered, and pulled the trigger. The pulse hit the ship. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the vessel's lights flickered and died. The ship dropped from the sky, crashing into an empty field. Jack stared in disbelief. It worked. It actually worked. For the first time since the ships arrived, Jack Harlow smiled. 1 year passed since Jack shot down the scout ship. The world changed. Humans now lived under alien rule. They worked in factories, making parts for council ships. They handed over food to alien overseers. They kept their eyes down when Vexari patrols marched through their streets. But not everyone obeyed. Deep in the Appalachian Mountains, Jack Harlow stood at a makeshift command table. Maps and stolen alien tech covered the surface. 50 resistance fighters moved through the underground bunker behind him. "The convoy passes here at 0600, Jack said, pointing to a mountain road. 3 transport vehicles carrying processed minerals. Light guard. Steve Garrison, his second in command, nodded. Perfect target. We hit them fast, grab the cargo, disappear before reinforcements arrive." Jack had built something from nothing. After that first downed ship, he gathered other military personnel who refused to surrender. They studied the alien tech, built weapons that worked against it, and started fighting back. "New problem," said Lisa Reeves, their communications expert. "Council's bringing in a luminary scientist. Heavily guarded transport arriving tomorrow." Jack looked up. "Change of plans. We take the scientist instead?" The next day, hidden in the trees above a mountain pass, Jack watched through binoculars as the transport approached. 6 human resistance fighters waited with him, weapons ready. "Remember, we need the luminary alive," Jack whispered. A ambush worked perfectly. EMP charges disabled the vehicle's shields. Smoke grenades blinded the Vexari guards. In 3 minutes, the resistance team had the luminary scientists secured and were racing back to their hidden base. The crystalline aliens sat bound in their interrogation room. It glowed faintly blue in the dim light. "Why are you doing this?" Jack asked. "Why help them control us?" The luminary's voice sounded like wind through crystal. "The Council fears you." Jack laughed bitterly. "Us? You have ships that can destroy cities. Yet your weapon disabled our scout ship. 1 human with 1 weapon." The luminary shifted, colors rippling through its body. "Humans adapt faster than any species we've encountered. Your potential frightens the Council." Jack leaned forward. "Tell me how to hurt them." The luminary revealed the weakness in Council. Technology. Their power systems operated on specific frequencies. Disrupt those frequencies, and their weapons failed. 3 weeks later, Jack's team attacked the processing facility outside the ruins of Pittsburgh. Their new weapons, built using the luminary's information, cut through alien defenses like paper. The facility exploded in a tower of blue flame, visible for 50 miles. The first major victory for humanity. That night, the resistance celebrated. Jack didn't join them. He studied maps for the next target. Steve found him there. "You should rest." "We won today. 1 facility out of hundreds," Jack said. "Not enough." "It's a start," Steve replied, placing a hand on Jack's shoulder. "People are talking about what happened. More will join us." Jack nodded. "The Council will respond. They'll send someone to hunt us down." He was right. On the Council mothership orbiting Earth, Commander Zexul received his orders. The tall Visari warrior had crushed rebellions on 12 worlds. His mandibles clicked in anticipation as he studied the reports of human resistance. "Find their leader," he ordered his troops. "This Jack Harlow. Bring him to me alive." Back at the resistance base, Steve Garrison slipped away from the others. In a hidden corner, he activated a small communication device. "I have information," he whispered, "about Jack Harlow and the resistance base location." The Vexari voice on the other end was cold. "Proceed, human. Promise me freedom," Steve said. "Promise me safety." "Of course," the voice replied. "The Council rewards loyalty." Steve began to talk, betraying everything. The attack came at dawn. Jack woke to explosions shaking the mountain base. Alarms screamed through the corridors. "We're compromised," Lisa shouted, rushing into his quarters. "Vexari dropships everywhere." Jack grabbed his rifle. "Evacuation plan, Charlie. Get everyone to the escape tunnels." The base dissolved into chaos. Resistance fighters grabbed what weapons they could. The ceiling cracked as something heavy landed above them. "Move!" Jack ordered, pushing people toward the back tunnels. He fired at the first Vexari soldiers breaking through the main entrance. Steve appeared beside him, face pale. "Jack, there are too many." "Hold them off," Jack said. "I'll set the charges to collapse the entrance." As Jack ran to the explosives cache, he heard a scream. Turning, he saw Steve standing behind Lisa's body, a Vex-Ari weapon in his hand. "I'm sorry," Steve said, not meeting Jack's eyes. "They promised me freedom." Before Jack could raise his weapon, something hit him from behind. The world went black. He woke strapped to a metal table. Cold light burned his eyes. The room hummed with alien technology. "Jack Harlow," a voice said. "The human who believes he can fight the Galactic Council." A tall Vex-Ari stepped into view. His carapace was scarred, decorated with metal insignia. His compound eyes reflected Jack's face 100 times. "Commander Zexul," the alien introduced himself. "I've ended rebellions across 12 worlds. Yours will be 13. Where are my people?" Jack demanded. "Some dead, some captured, some escaped." Zexul moved closer. "It doesn't matter. We'll find them all eventually." The interrogation lasted days. Or weeks. Jack lost track of time. Zexul used pain, drugs, and sleep deprivation. Jack revealed nothing. During a brief moment alone, Jack tested his restraints again. Still solid. The door slid open. Jack expected Zexul, but instead a Luminari entered. It glowed soft green in the dim room. "I am Prism," it said quietly. "I worked with your resistance." "The scientist we captured," Jack realized. "Yes, listen carefully. A council has become corrupt. What they're doing to Earth, to humans, violates our oldest laws." Prism moved to the control panel. "Humans were not randomly targeted. Your species possesses unique genetic markers. Adaptability beyond any race we've encountered. So they want to wipe us out," Jack said. "No, they want to harvest these traits while keeping humanity weak. They fear what you might become." The restraints clicked open. Jack sat up, rubbing his wrists. "Why help me?" he asked. "Because the council I joined was meant to unite worlds, not conquer them." Prism handed Jack a weapon. "There's a transport bay 2 levels down. I've disabled the alarms on this route." Jack followed Prism through the ship's corridors, avoiding patrols. The transport bay held small shuttle craft. "This one is programmed to reach the surface," Prism said. "Your resistance has regrouped in the mountains west of here." Alarms suddenly blared. Zexul's voice echoed through the ship. "The human prisoner has escaped. Lock down all transport bays." "Go," Prism urged. "I will delay them." Jack boarded the shuttle. The doors closed just as Vex-Ari troops burst into the bay. Through the viewport, he saw Prism confronting them, at a flash of weapons fire. The shuttle launched, breaking through the mothership's shields and plunging toward Earth. 3 days later, Jack found the survivors. Only 20 resistance fighters remained, hiding in an abandoned mine. Among them was Dr. Allison Reed, a physicist who had been developing weapons based on a Luminary's information. "I've almost completed the Sunbreaker," she told Jack. "A device that could disable an entire mothership." Jack looked at the plans. "This could change everything." "There's more," said Lisa, who had survived despite her wounds. "We intercepted Council communications. Earth isn't the first world they've conquered this way." "How many others?" Jack asked. "Dozens," Lisa replied. "But from what we can tell, we're the only ones still fighting back." Jack studied the holographic map of the Council mothership. 2 months had passed since his escape. The resistance had grown stronger, gathering survivors and weapons. "The central data core is here," Jack said, pointing to the ship's heart. "If we can access it, we'll have everything: fleet movements, defense codes, communication protocols." Dr. Reed nodded. "The Sunbreaker is ready. It will disable their power systems for 6 minutes. That's our window." Their plan was bold. Too bold, some said. Infiltrate the mothership, steal the intelligence, plant the Sunbreaker device, and escape before it activated. We'll need a distraction, Lisa said. Already arranged, Jack replied. I've made contact with other species enslaved by the Council. They're ready to help. The night before the mission, Jack couldn't sleep. He walked through their new base, an abandoned military bunker. Fighters cleaned weapons or rested. Some prayed. Others wrote letters to families they might never see again. Scared? Dr. Reed asked, finding him alone. Terrified, Jack admitted, but not of dying. Of failing. She touched his arm. You gave us hope when we had none. Whatever happens tomorrow, remember that. Dawn came too quickly. 3 stolen Vexare shuttles carried the strike team toward the mothership. Jack led the first shuttle, 20 fighters behind him. Approaching docking bay, the pilot said. Transmitting stolen codes now. The codes worked. The shuttles landed among dozens of similar craft. Jack's team moved quickly, wearing stolen Vexare armor. They split into 3 groups, one for the data core, one for the ship's bridge, one to plant the Sunbreaker. Jack led the data core team. They moved through service corridors mapped by Prism before his death. Twice they froze as patrols passed. Once they had to kill a technician who spotted them. 2 minutes to the core, Jack whispered into his comm. Suddenly, alarms blared. They'd been discovered. Run, Jack ordered. They sprinted through corridors as security doors began closing. Jack slid under the last one before it sealed, separating him from half his team. Continue the mission, he told them through the door. I'll find another way. Alone, Jack fought through the ship. His stolen armor helped briefly, until a security scan revealed his human life signs. Then he abandoned stealth for speed, shooting his way toward the data core. He reached it just as Lisa's team arrived from another direction. Bridge team is pinned down, she reported. Dr. Reed made it to the power center with the Sunbreaker. Jack plugged the data extraction device into the core. Information flooded into it, and what he saw made his blood freeze. They have a planet killer fleet, he said, heading to Earth. Final solution for the human problem. The ship rocked with explosions. The distraction had begun. Enslaved aliens throughout the ship were fighting back. Data secured, Jack said. Let's move. They fought their way toward the extraction point. In a wide corridor, Jack stopped cold. Steve Garrison stood before them, wearing Vexare officer insignia. Hello, Jack, Steve said. They made me an officer for turning you in. You betrayed everyone, Jack snarled. People died because of you. I survived, Steve replied. That's all that matters now. Jack raised his weapon, but Steve was faster. A shot hit Lisa in the chest. She fell as Jack dove for cover. The Council is sending the planet killer fleet, Steve called out. Earth will be dust in 3 days. Join me, Jack. We can survive this. Jack's tongue crackled. Dr. Reed's voice came through. Sunbreaker planted. But there's a problem. The timer is damaged. Someone has to trigger it manually. Jack looked at the data device in his hand, then at Lisa's body, then toward the corridor leading to the extraction point. Jack? Dr. Reed asked. What do we do? He made his decision. Get everyone off the ship. I'll trigger the Sunbreaker. That's suicide, she protested. That's war, Jack replied. And I'm not letting Earth die without a fight. Jack moved through the ship's corridors, the data device clutched in his hand. Behind him, the remaining resistance fighters headed for the extraction point. Ahead lay the power center, where Dr. Reed had planted the Sunbreaker. You're making a mistake, Steve called, following at a distance. No one survives defying the Council. Jack didn't slow down. Better to die fighting than live as a slave. A blast hit the wall beside him. Jack turned and fired back, catching Steve in the shoulder. The traitor fell, but wasn't dead. The Council's Supreme Commander is coming personally to watch Earth burn, Steve shouted after him. You can't stop this. Jack reached the power center. The Sunbreaker sat connected to the main reactor, its display flashing red. The timer mechanism was clearly damaged. Dr. Reed's voice came through his comm. "Jack, our shuttle is launching. Last chance to get out. Get everyone to safety," Jack replied. "And make sure that data reaches what's left of our forces." "It will," she promised, her voice breaking. "Good luck?" Jack examined the Sunbreaker. The manual trigger required holding down 2 activation points simultaneously while the device charged. Once started, the process couldn't be stopped. He placed his hands on the triggers and pressed. The ship shuddered as the first shuttles escaped. Jack held the triggers down as the device hummed louder. A countdown appeared. 5 minutes until detonation. The door to the power center slid open. Commander Zexul entered, flanked by guards. "Impressive, human," the Vexari said. "You've caused more trouble than any species we've conquered." "We're just getting started," Jack replied. Zexul approached slowly. "Release the device, and I might let your planet survive as a mining colony." "Not happening." The ship rocked with more explosions. The rebellion had spread throughout the vessel. Alarms blared as systems began failing. "The Supreme Commander has arrived," a guard reported. "His ship is docking now." Zexul's compound eyes fixed on Jack. "You've lost. Even if you destroy this ship, the Planet Killer fleet will still launch." "Maybe," Jack said. "But they'll have to do it without the command codes in this data device." The Vexari commander lunged forward, but Jack kicked him back. He couldn't release the triggers, or the Sunbreaker would fail. The door opened again. A tall figure entered, unlike any alien Jack had seen. It wore ornate armor that seemed to shift colors with each movement. "Supreme Commander," Zexul said, bowing his head. The Supreme Commander studied Jack. "So this is the human who believes he can challenge the Galactic Council." "Not just me," Jack said. "All of us. You misjudged humanity." "How so?" the alien asked. "You thought we'd accept defeat. You thought we'd surrender to a superior force." Jack smiled grimly. "But humans never stay down. We adapt. We fight back. And we never, ever give up." The Sunbreaker's countdown reached 1 minute. Systems throughout the ship began failing as the device's influence spread. "What is happening?" the Supreme Commander demanded. "Reality," Jack answered. Hitting back, the ship's lights flickered. Power surged through the systems. The Sunbreaker glowed brighter. "Evacuate!" Zexul shouted. "The reactor is destabilizing." The Supreme Commander stared at Jack with something like respect. "You doom yourself to save others. That's what makes us human," Jack replied. They fled, leaving Jack alone with the device. 30 seconds remained. Through the viewport, he could see Earth, beautiful and blue. The Resistance shuttles were tiny specks escaping the mothership. The Sunbreaker's energy spread through the ship, disabling weapons, shields, and control systems. The effect would cascade to every connected Council vessel. Jack thought of his brother Tim, of all the humans who had died, of all who might yet live. "For Earth," he whispered as the countdown reached 0. The Sunbreaker activated fully. Energy surged through the mothership and outward to the entire Council fleet. Ships lost power. Weapons went dead. The Planet Killer fleet drifted harmlessly in space. In that moment of vulnerability, Earth's remaining forces attacked. Resistance fighters led other enslaved species in a final desperate assault. The Galactic Council's power broke that day, not through superior technology or strength, but because they had underestimated humanity's greatest weapon, the will to remain free. 1 year later, Dr. Reed stood before a memorial in what had once been New York. Names covered its surface millions who had died in the invasion and the war that followed. At the top was carved, "Jack Harlow. He showed us how to fight back." Behind her, humans worked alongside former Council species, rebuilding, not as masters and slaves, but as equals in a new galactic alliance. The Council had misjudged humanity. Reality had hit back, and the universe would never be the same.